My volume's up, and I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Really?
Yeah.
Am I coming in like really,
There.
really low?
Yeah, you're. It's so much better now.
Okay.
I think it
That's
was
weird.
just. Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know. My computer's been having an issue anyway, so it's probably something with that anyway.
Fair enough.
Who
Fair
knows?
enough. So what's new?
The usual. The usual mom life and little sleep.
Yeah.
Can't
How
get
how
anything
many
done.
how many would you say on average you're getting? Like how many hours?
3.5 to 4.
Really?
Hmm.
That's crazy.
I don't have a good sleeper. I've tried everything. Like, they tell you like all these different things that you're supposed to do
Mhm.
um, to like help them sleep. And so I've done all of that. And then even at night, like when he gets up, like last night, I went through like all of the steps. I like increased the white noise machine, right? The
Uh-huh.
volume on it. I patted him. I put the vibration on in the bassinet because he has like a little bassinet that has like a vibration thing.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
I was going shh, shh, shh for like 10 minutes. I did everything, and the kid's like screaming his little head off. I'm like, okay, fine, I'm just going to feed you, right? And then 2 hours later, like clockwork, he's hungry.
You know what you should try doing? Maybe it's not that ethical, but like you should just get one of those like how they have like in the hamster cages with the little bottle that hangs from the side, and the hamster can just go like that.
Yeah.
You could just put just put something in there that he could drink from.
Yeah.
Or that, or just like that picture I showed you from Meet the Fockers, where he has the fake thing, and then you could just
Yeah.
have Carlos do that.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's funny you say that though, because my best friend Tom, his wife just went back to work, and um like he was fine. The baby would sleep just fine, and the second she leaves for work, now he won't stop crying.
Well, that's kind of what happened. We were getting actually like a decent stretch. We would get like maybe like a 4 hour stretch. And then after that, it was only like 2 hours. But we got like one nicer stretch. And the second I went back to my office, because I was already back to work, but I was just doing telehealth. But the second I went back to my office, he's not happy.
Wow,
He won't get his long stretches. So,
that is. I'm sorry. So, before we get into what we said we were going to talk about, usually at the top of the episode, I know that last week we did it at the end. Um, I just wanted to go into the very, very quickly the fantasy football update for this week. So, it was
your
not
face is not
a.
promising.
No, it's not. Uh, Let me just say, it was not a good week for the Sober Highway podcast. Not even close. Okay. So this week, let me just recline this back a little bit. Okay. So this week we took on Jav from the Decent Takes podcast, and needless to say, we got manhandled. I wish there was a better word to describe it, but the word is escaping me right now. I'm gonna screen share this so I can show it to you. Um, so here's us. This is our score for the week, and this is
Oh,
Job's score for the week.
oh, so we got our asses handed to us.
Yes. So I will say, I will say. By the way, for those of you listening watching on TikTok, you can't hear what my co-host is saying. So if you want to watch our like live podcast recording, you can go to Twitch, and check us out at the Sober Highway. But anyway, so if you look at our bench, like this guy DeAndre Hopkins, he was supposed to. We didn't know. I didn't know that he wasn't gonna play until like right before the game,
Hmm.
And if you notice, I didn't have anybody on the bench that we could put in his place. So even if I knew he wasn't gonna play, and I had enough time, I would have been able to get someone in time to replace him. That would get me enough points to even make it worthwhile. And then our kicker got us 0 points. So yeah, we had a very very bad week. We're gonna fall to 5-4.
Okay.
So we are not. I'm not happy about that.
I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is. So let's move on and get to what we said we were going to talk about when we left off last week. So, did you watch? First of all, let explain to our listeners who are listening to this after the fact what the show is about.
Okay, so we wanted to discuss Dope Sick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a show on Hulu that deals with the makers of OxyContin, which is Purdue Pharma, right? And Richard Sackler, um, who basically spearheaded the campaign to market and create basically a new market for a certain type of opioid that they were, going to market a certain way, saying that it was safer, effective, less addictive, etc. And so it goes into the history of the creation of the drug, the marketing, um, the legal issues that have come up
Mm-hmm.
with it, right? And how it affected people's lives, right? And still affect people's lives.
Honestly, that was a great that was a great explanation. Uh, so let me ask you this: what did you think of the first episode?
So I watched a whole bunch, so I'm trying to think of like what exactly was in the first episode because I
I'm not
don't
gonna
want
lie.
to.
I watched the first two and like the first half of episode three. So for those of you that are yes, so I put a background on the TikTok live stream that says "Ask me anything about addiction recovery." I meant addiction recovery. Yes, I did mean addiction recovery. I made a typo. I'm sorry.
He's not a math teacher.
I'm not a math teacher. I did mean addiction. Thank you. I'm
I
such a dumbass. Uh,
do that all the time.
anyway, so let's just roll with it. I'm sure I'm gonna get a whole bunch of those.
It's okay.
Idiot. All right. So, um, I thought it was a really good. I thought it was a really good episode to start. I mean, it really. I really thought that like I was watching it, and I was like, how do these people not know? Like if only these people knew the shitstorm that they were starting by pushing this drug OxyContin.
Mhm.
It's just like it's like I can't get over it. It's like it boggles my mind how easily these people are swindling these doctors, and because of that, the doctors are misinforming their patients.
Yeah. I mean, the first episode really is about getting to know the cast of characters and who's
Mm-hmm.
who, right? And trying to like set the stage for the rest of the show, at least from what I remember. Um, and it really kind of it does. It like has this like foreshadowing, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
of like something terrible is going to happen because like these characters are being introduced, right? And like they're coal miners, and it's going into the life stories and this doctor, and it's like,
Mm-hmm.
hold on. I have to stop. My child needs me, so give me a
Okay.
second. I just need to shut the camera off.
Go ahead. So, let's pause while Adnika is taking care of Jonah. This is actually a good time for some. I guess we'll do a mid roll, right? I mean, fuck it. We're only 10 minutes into this thing. So for those of you that are listening on TikTok, this is my name is Dan. I'm a co-host of The Sober Highway. We are a podcast about addiction recovery. Right now, I am live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We're all about addiction recovery here, and I know that the banner says addiction recovery. I meant addiction. I'm sorry. I'm not a math expert. I don't know how you recover from math addiction. I'm sorry, but we are sponsored by Brainwash Coffee. Check us out. BrainwashCoffeeCo.com. Use the promo code SoberHighway checkout, and you'll get $5 off your first order. Thanks. Okay,
So I'm back without video. Oh, it's okay, Bob. Sorry, he's choking.
What did he do?
He was eating too fast.
Aww.
Right? It happens.
Aww.
It happens. So yeah, so it's really setting up like the cast of characters and trying to think, right, about like, well, what's going to happen? I know something bad's going to happen to this character, right?
Mhm.
Like, and then you're like introduced to the Sackler family, right? And like they're presented a certain way too, like trying to be like, oh, well, they're like really into like philanthropy and they have such a long history of like being in the drug company, like in that world, right? And so it really like it does the first episode. I think kind of gives you that little background.
You think? Do we know if Richard Sackler is a doctor, or is he just? He's just. You know what I mean? I don't think he's a doctor, right? Is he?
I don't know. That actually is a really good question because I do think in some episode he was referred to as a doctor, and I wonder if it's like a PhD
Richard
versus
Sackler. Oh, he is a doctor.
a medical doctor.
Yes, he's an MD. He got his bachelor's from Columbia, and his MD is from NYU.
Okay.
So yeah, it just bothers me that like he knew, like as a doctor, that this stuff was gonna be bad, and he just was overridden by greed and really just, just started a whole opioid epidemic here in this country.
Well, it's pretty interesting, like from like a psychological standpoint too, right? It wasn't just about, at least the way it's portrayed. And again, we don't know the truth of it, but in the show, there seems to be like, definitely some narcissism, ego bruising, that type of like, well, I have to prove my worth to my family, right? And so it definitely creates like this very interesting like portrayal of his personality, and I wonder if that has any like bearing in real life.
One of the things I do like about this show, though, and I know you said it a little bit before, that you get a chance to meet everybody from the cast, but you really get to look at how this whole like Purdue Pharma thing, how it really impacted everybody, like from the pharmaceutical company standpoint, from the doctors, to the point of like an actual patient, you know, to the DEA, to the lawyers that are actually looking into prosecuting Purdue Pharma. I think like, it, you know, if you know anything about this whole thing before even the show came out, like, you know, I'm sure that it's a matter of time before this girl who I forgot her name in the show, but you know who I'm talking about, right?
Betsy,
Betsy is her name?
the coal miner.
Yes, the coal
Yeah.
miner. So I'm almost willing to bet you that Betsy's going to end up using heroin at some point in this show.
Yes.
I can almost guarantee. Are you saying that because you know, or are you saying that because?
No, that's my guess. I have been watching. I think I'm only like one or two. I haven't watched the last one or the last two. I'm not sure, but I've definitely watched a couple of them.
Okay.
That is not anything that has happened as of yet that I know of, but I could totally see it going that way because that is like a very typical trajectory for people who were prescribed and were addicted or are addicted to Oxycontin, right? Is they stop getting their script for pills, etc. It's too expensive, and heroin is the cheaper option.
And I didn't know that they were that initially Purdue Pharma was pushing these drugs even harder in these areas, like it was, what was it, Maine, Ohio, and Virginia,
Mm-hmm.
because of these large mining communities. I didn't know that. I thought it was just a nationwide push. Well, it eventually became a nationwide push, but like, I didn't know that it was initially targeted in those areas.
Yeah. Well, and even just the whole thing about like the fact that it was kind of like, okay, well, pain is something that we shouldn't have to live with, right? Like that was like a concept that kind of was like really being pushed at the time that this drug came out, right? So before that, it was like, okay, well, a certain amount of discomfort or pain was normal.
Right. So I'm really excited to see what happens with this show. Like I've been debating whether or not I wanted to keep watching because I didn't want to I didn't want to say I didn't want to say too much, and because I didn't want to risk spoiling it for anybody that was interested, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
The only thing is, I would say if you do want to watch it, it is a very good show. Just it's a show you definitely need to like pay attention because it kind of like skips back between years as well.
yes.
So it's like
Yes.
something to just kind of like be aware. This isn't like a show that you can like mindlessly kind of put on and be like, oh, I'm not paying attention.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to see if there's anything that I wanted to talk about here. Okay. Here's something.
Jonah wanted to be part of. Do you hear him?
I hear him.
I want to be part of the podcast too. Silver Highway. Let's go.
So apparently, the DEA is taking a more aggressive stance towards pharmacies trying to dispense Suboxone. Let's see here. In 2016, after flooding displaced people in nearby counties, Martin and Joku began dispensing buprenorphine to people and then to local customers at his Oak Hill hometown pharmacy in Fayette County. Morphine, a controlled substance sold under the brand name Subutex, and Suboxone is a medication to treat opioid use disorder. Research shows it halves the risk of overdose and doubles people's chances of entering long-term recovery. But a few years later, the DEA raided Njoku's pharmacy and accused the facility of contributing to the opioid epidemic rather than curbing it. The agency revoked the pharmacy's registration to dispense controlled substances, claiming it posed an imminent danger to public health and safety. Wow.
I don't really understand. Was I missing something like about why?
Okay, so apparently, um, the DEA raided his pharmacy and basically took away his ability to dispense controlled substances. Um, uh, it doesn't say why. It doesn't say why
Yeah,
they
that
raided
was.
him. Uh, I'm gonna I'm gonna send you this article, and maybe you can offer me some because I'm having trouble reading it. I probably should have read this before I decided to talk about it. I apologize.
It happens sometimes.
Yeah. Um. Here's okay. The former director of an addiction recovery organization in Nashville has been indicted on accusations that she stole over $6,000. Phases, which is a nonprofit organization, offered transitional housing and support for women in recovery from drug and alcohol addiction, received grant funds from the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. The investigation into former director Julia Armstrong started after after the department reported concerns about phases to the Tennessee Comptroller's Office. So stealing money from
From programs, or
from
from like
programs.
trying to help people struggling with addiction and recovery.
That's yeah, that's not good. Oh, this is actually a good question. We got a question from somebody. This is actually something we could talk about really quickly. So, have you heard about um, have you heard about this whole thing that happened at the Travis Scott concert?
Very briefly.
Okay. So tell me what you know, and then I'll tell you what I know, and then we can talk about what we both think about it.
I mean, all I know was there was apparently some sort of like stampede.
Mm-hmm.
And from what I read in one article, and again, I don't know if this is true because I was kind of like skimming it. Um, it was like near like the VIP entrance, and like a whole bunch of people kind of just like tried to like break through. Like I guess they didn't have tickets, whatever it was. I don't really know. Um, and it created some sort of chaos, and obviously people were injured, and I believe somebody's actually dead too.
Yeah. Jacob Johnson is from TikTok is saying that eight were killed and 300 people were injured.
That's crazy.
And apparently there were people that were yelling at him to stop the show, and he didn't, which is really unfortunate.
I mean, I know he made a statement, I believe, saying that, like, he was unaware of what was going on.
Mm-hmm. It's tough because everyone's saying like, oh, he should be held responsible. It was his show. He was hearing people saying stop the show, and he chose not to do it anyway. It's just like, more importantly, is why do people feel like they need to act like this at a concert? It boggles my mind that people go this crazy at concerts. Like, this is why I won't go to like these major like outdoor music festivals, because I don't want to be bothered with any of that. I just feel like it's a giant clusterfuck waiting to explode. Evidently that's what happened here.
Yeah. Well, I think that there are definitely like some of these larger concerts and events, they always run the risk of having something dangerous happen, because if you have a lot of people, that potentially also are like either unable to go, because I think the cost was quite high for tickets. So the cost is somewhat prohibitive. So there are people obviously that like sometimes will act out if they're unable to get in, right? And then people that are already there that are maybe using drugs and alcohol, people who are outside using drugs and alcohol too, wanting to get in. There's a lot of factors that can contribute to like, is this safe for everyone?
Well, I hope that everyone that was injured at that show has a speedy recovery.
Me too. And for the poor person that passed away, I hope that somebody is held accountable, because it sounds like there's definitely something off. Whether I don't know if it's you know Travis Scott's responsibility, that I'm not sure, but there's definitely some fault somewhere. Whether it's not with enough security,
Maybe like on his record label, or
something somewhere, right?
someone's gonna have to answer to this. Yeah.
Because it doesn't sound right.
No.
Something sounds off.
And between you and me, I mean, I'm not really a rap music person, um, but like, I don't really think his music is that good. I mean, he has a couple good songs, but like, I'm just not I'm just not about Travis Scott. I don't know what's so special about
I mean, I'm an old school rap fan, so
him. Right. So you would have never known about Travis Scott.
I mean, like, I know him, I know his songs, but like, for me, like, if we're thinking about like rap music, right? Like, I'm thinking like Biggie, Tupac, Nas, um,
Okay.
you know, definitely more old school. So
Let's see. I'm trying to think about what else is going on in. Uh, so someone is talking about the Kyle Rittenhouse trial. We're not going to talk about that on this show. I'd rather not. I'd rather not talk about that. This is a show about recovery, and like that's something like talking about that. We would really have to take a political stance, and I'm not really looking to do that on here.
yeah,
Apparently the trial is wrapping up tomorrow, so that'll be interesting to see what happens. But we won't talk about that here. Any plans for this week? We could do a short episode this week if you want.
Any plans? No, not really. I'm trying to think. other than working, and Jonah has some shots, some vaccinations he's due for. So that's about it. It's not that exciting. Every day is kind of the same as Groundhog Day.
Let me tell you, I don't know. What would you say? We're going to do another quick transition. My ADHD is jumping all over the place. What was, for you, the most stressful part about planning your wedding? Like, what was the part that caused you the most headaches?
Well, so since we never actually finished planning it.
Oh, you never actually had a reception?
No, COVID hit.
Right. Okay.
So I can't really answer that, but I think once you find the venue that you want,
yeah.
Well, I shouldn't even say that you want the right venue for you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the venue you want is not the one that is affordable or feasible. So one that you like, that you feel happy with. I think that takes care of a big portion. But I think really just trying to stay organized is what I've understood from like a lot of people, is like, just making sure like you have like a list of like, okay, by these dates, like this many months before the wedding, I need to book the photographer, the DJ, flowers, centerpieces, just kind of really staying organized as much as possible
Oh,
is the most helpful thing.
well, that's why I have Michelle. Michelle and I, well, she has a binder with all of our like the venues that we've chosen or that we're looking at, and then I'm assuming once we nail down the venue, she'll start adding, photographer, videographer, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now, what I did, because I love fucking around on the computer, what I did was I made a really cool spreadsheet of all the venues we looked at, how much everything costs, what it's going to cost per person out the door, like after taxes and fees and all that.
Hmm.
And I have it color coded, and this thing is freaking cool.
Well, that's probably going to be very helpful for you guys to narrow it down.
The only problem is like everybody is like so like none of the like one venue includes tables and linens, the other one has tables and linens but not servingware and glassware, and then one place has all three, has both of them but doesn't have cake, and then one place has cake but no tables, linens, servingware, glassware.
Yeah,
And
you
it's
have to.
and it's like you have them at the venue, why aren't you including it?
Yeah, why can't you just include it for the price? And if you wanted like an upgrade, right, like the upgraded chairs, upgraded linens, like you could just tell us what the up
Yeah,
price
like
is, right?
what? Yeah, and then some of these places are like oh well, if you'd like to come down and take a tour, we'd be happy to talk pricing and give you a quote. And I'm like, I'm not gonna even I don't even want to come look at your place unless I know that it's gonna be
In my budget.
in my budget.
Yeah.
And then half these places are like, oh yeah, well we can't book you a tour for like at least a month out.
Yeah, some of them, and especially with COVID and stuff, I think they're not booking tours quite as much.
Hmm.
There is a app and website. I think it's called Wedding Wire
Yeah, we've been using the Wedding Wire and the
because you
Knot.
can message them and they'll give you like pricing and stuff,
Yeah,
like at least the basic pricing.
some of the venues have like PDF files attached where you can look at, like they'll upload a PDF file with their pricing and stuff. But again, like sometimes they'll just include the menu and they won't include the price, and it's like all this sounds good, but if it's not in my price range, I don't even want to look at it.
Yeah.
So, um, so I actually should go because I need to look at my dad. My my mom just had some surgery done over at NYU, Winthrop,
Okay.
which is like walking distance from where I live. But
Is that and she's okay? She's recovering.
yeah, she so I really hope she doesn't mind me sharing this, but whatever. At this point, she's a badass, so I got to give her props for it. So, like I want to say 6 or 7 years ago, my mother was diagnosed with thyroid cancer.
Okay.
Um, no problem. Apparently, thyroid cancer is like of all the cancers to have, it's like the best one because you just take the thyroids out.
Mm-hmm.
So she had the thyroids removed, and she's been fine. She's been in remission, whatever. She went for a chest X-ray a month or so ago, and they found a nodule on her lung, which is odd because, you know, why would it be on her lung? So they were like, oh well, we don't know if it's a new cancer, we don't know if it's a metastasis of the old cancer, so we're gonna take it out and then we're gonna biopsy it.
Okay.
So regardless of whether or not it's malignant or it's cancerous or it's benign, it's coming out. So, you know,
Yeah.
she had the surgery. She's already up in a room. My dad's there now. So I think I'm gonna try and jet over there now.
That makes sense. Well, I hope that it's benign and she recovers nicely and quickly, and she has lots of support and love.
Hmm. Yeah. My dad's staying with me tonight. I think my mom is. I think she's staying in the hospital overnight, and then she's coming home. Actually, no. I think she's staying over Monday and Tuesday, and then she's being discharged on Wednesday.
Okay,
So we'll see.
well, I'll send lots of healing vibes her way.
Thank you, thank you. What else was I gonna say? Um, I guess we'll just cut it here. I mean, we literally didn't really talk about much, but that's fine. I need to put together an agenda for next week, so that way our next episode is a little bit more organized.
Yeah, I mean, look, sometimes we have the ADHD moments and all over the place, and I'm right there with you, even without anything, you know.
You know what? I think it's partly because I got this whole thing with my mother on my mind. And it's just it's hard
Yeah,
to
you should be there with her. You know that's the priority. So
Yeah, so let me go see her for a little bit, and thank you everybody for listening. If you enjoyed the content today, which there really wasn't much of, you can subscribe to us and follow us on all of the major podcasting platforms. We are on um, we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Stitcher. I think also Facebook came out with a new podcast library, so I'm going to put us up on there too. Um, as for social media, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Get involved with our TikTok campaign to get AJ McLean on the Sober Highway podcast. Check out our sponsor, Brainwashed Coffee Company. If you go to brainwashedcoffeeco.com and you use the promo code SOBERHIGHWAY at checkout, you will get $5 off your first order. Their coffee is delicious, and if you buy more than three or more bags, then you get free shipping, which is pretty cool. Anika, anything that you want to add?
No, but if you're listening to this, you should check out Dope Sick because it is really good. Not that we are endorsed by them in any way or get any benefit, but it's a good show, so check it out.
That would be cool. I also, yeah. So if you have a Hulu subscription, definitely check out Dope Sick. I don't know if we'll be able to like live stream any episode viewings.
Yeah, probably
But
not.
definitely, if you don't have Hulu, maybe go buy the book and read the book.
Hmm.
But that's pretty much it for this week. Um, Again, check us out on the podcasting platforms, follow us on social media, and visit Brainwashed. That's it, everybody. Bye. Check you out next week.